Silence isn't weakness. It's control disguised as calm. In a world addicted to noise, where everyone argues, defends, and shouts, the rare man who stays silent holds more power than those who scream for it. The Stoics knew this. When words become weapons, silence becomes armor. In this video, you'll learn 6 moments when saying nothing speaks louder than anything. There will come a moment when someone attacks you, not because you're wrong, but because your existence threatens their comfort. Maybe it's a boss who dismisses your work, a friend who mocks your effort, a stranger who projects their own bitterness onto you, and you'll feel it. That flash of injustice, that surge of anger burning behind your chest. Your instinct will scream, defend yourself, say something, prove them wrong. But that's exactly what they want, because the moment you argue, you hand them control. You've left the seat of your own peace to sit in the courtroom of their chaos. The Stoics warned us about this long ago. Epictetus said, "If someone speaks badly of you, do not defend yourself against their accusations. Say instead, he does not know the rest of my faults, or he would not have mentioned only these." It sounds harsh, even strange, in a world that worships reaction. But that's the point. True power is not in the tongue, it's in the restraint. When you stay silent in the face of unfair criticism, you send a message that words cannot carry. I know who I am. Your opinion doesn't define me. Silence in that moment is not weakness, it's precision. It's choosing not to waste energy proving yourself to someone who's already made up their mind. It's realizing that dignity isn't something you defend, it's something you preserve. Because when you respond to every insult, you become smaller. But when you remain still, the truth grows taller, quietly, unshaken. Imagine this. Your boss undermines you in front of everyone. Your pulse rises, your pride stirs. You want to bite back, but you don't. You breathe, you observe, you let silence do the talking. Later, when emotions settle, the same people who witnessed your calm will remember it. Not the insult, but the way you didn't flinch. That's how respect is built in silence. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Silence is that realization in action. It's the embodiment of power over one's own mind, especially when the world tries to provoke it. So the next time someone throws words like stones, don't throw them back. Stand still, let them fall. The noise will fade faster than you think, and what remains is your composure, your invisible crown. Because the Stoic man doesn't silence others, he silences himself first. He knows that anger is easy. Silence is mastery. He knows that shouting may win the moment, but silence wins the respect that lasts beyond it. When the noise ends, truth remains. And that's where your peace lives. So remember this. The next time you're unfairly criticized, let your silence be your answer, not because you can't speak, but because you've already said enough by standing still. And when you master that, you'll notice something powerful. Silence doesn't just protect you from criticism, it also protects you from the need to prove yourself. That's the first lesson of Stoic calm. And it leads us to the next truth. Sometimes silence isn't about defense, it's about confidence. You've seen it before, the loud one in the room, bragging about his success, his money, his strength, his women. Every story seems rehearsed, every victory exaggerated, and as he speaks, something in you stirs. The urge to respond, to match, to prove that you're not lesser. That urge is the real test, because this is where most men fail, not by speaking lies, but by speaking unnecessarily. The Stoics understood this danger well. Epictetus once said, "If you wish to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." To the untrained mind, that sounds like surrender, but to the Stoic, it's wisdom. Because the moment you stop needing to prove your worth, You've already proven it. Boasting is noise, and noise always reveals insecurity. It's a desperate attempt to fill the silence that confidence naturally inhabits. When you remain silent while others boast, you're not being passive. You're displaying a kind of power that makes people uncomfortable, the kind that doesn't need validation, the kind that earns respect without demanding it. Watch closely the next time someone brags in front of you. You'll see it in their eyes. They're not really speaking to you. They're speaking to their own insecurity. They're performing for the reflection they wish to see. But your silence breaks their rhythm. It's not resistance. It's dominance through composure. You become the mirror they cannot control. And that's why they grow louder, because your calm exposes their noise. Seneca once wrote, "A wise man is content with himself. The applause of the crowd adds nothing to his happiness." That is the essence of silence. When you are content within, the world loses its ability to manipulate you through comparison, because every boast, every exaggeration, every self-centered story is a plea for attention. And when you don't feed it, you take away its power. The Stoic man doesn't compete for spotlight. He becomes the light by simply being unbothered. Let them boast about what they have. Let them display what they think makes them worthy. You remain still, calm, observing, because the man who speaks least often achieves most. In that silence, your presence becomes heavy. People start to notice the way you don't chase attention, how your calm fills the space others try to control with words. They won't always say it out loud, but deep down they feel it. You're the only one in the room not trying to prove something, and that unsettles them, because silence, in a world addicted to validation, feels like a mirror that exposes weakness. It's not arrogance, it's assurance. It's the quiet confidence of a man who knows that value doesn't need volume. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one, so don't tell them who you are. Show them by saying nothing and letting your actions echo louder than their words ever could. The man who speaks to impress fades with the applause. The man who acts in silence endures beyond it. So when others boast, smile, breathe, and stay silent, because your restraint speaks volumes about a kind of power they can't fake. And once you understand that silence can elevate you above comparison, you begin to realize something deeper. It's not only others you must remain silent before, but sometimes it's your own anger that needs your silence most. Anger. It's the fire every man carries inside him. For some, it's buried deep, smoldering quietly beneath years of control. For others, it burns openly, destroying everything it touches. But whether you hide it or express it, anger always reveals the same truth. You are trying to control something that was never yours to control. Marcus Aurelius said, "You will become what you give your attention to." And when you give your attention to anger, you become its instrument. You think you're standing up for yourself. You think you're defending your dignity. But in reality, anger is defending itself, using your body, your words, your energy as its weapon. The Stoics never told men to suppress anger. They told them to understand it, to stand before it like a soldier before a storm, unshaken, observant, aware of its strength, but unwilling to kneel. Seneca wrote, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay." That single word, delay, is the difference between destruction and discipline, because in that brief pause, before words are spoken or fists are clenched, you reclaim your power. You see, anger isn't proof of strength. It's evidence of attachment. You're angry because you wanted the world to move according to your script. And it didn't. But life owes you nothing. And the Stoic man knows this truth deeply. If he cannot govern himself, he governs nothing. So the next time you feel anger rising, when someone insults you, when things go wrong, when life feels unfair, remember this: you are being tested, not attacked. The test is simple. Can you remain the master of your inner world while the outer one tries to provoke you? Silence in the face of anger is not weakness. It's the highest form of discipline. Because while others explode and crumble under emotion, you remain unmoved, not because you don't feel, but because you understand. You understand that every word spoken in rage is a debt that calmness will later have to repay. And every outburst is a confession that the world still controls you, so you choose to breathe, to pause, to let anger pass through you like thunder through an open sky. You do not fight it, you observe it. You do not express it, you outlast it. That's what separates a Stoic from an ordinary man. The ordinary man reacts, the Stoic responds. And sometimes the most powerful response is silence. Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." And that mastery doesn't come from suppression, it comes from awareness. Awareness that no one can truly offend you without your consent. That insults, betrayals, disappointments, they are all tests of your composure, not your worth. Because when you refuse to be dragged into the chaos of anger, you become untouchable. You carry stillness where others carry rage. You become the calm in the storm, and that calm terrifies those who live in noise. Remember this truth. Your anger does not make you strong. Your restraint does, because strength is not in the fist that strikes, but in the hand that chooses not to. And once you've mastered silence before anger, a new challenge awaits. How to remain centered, not in conflict, but in isolation, because solitude is where your true self begins to speak. There's a kind of silence that doesn't come from the world around you, but from the absence of yourself within it. When the laughter fades, when no one's texting you back, when the room feels too big for one heartbeat, that's when most men panic. Because being alone isn't what they fear. They fear what they hear when they're finally alone, the noise of their own thoughts, the echoes of regret, the weight of everything they've been avoiding by staying distracted. But the Stoics knew. Solitude isn't emptiness. It's the birthplace of self-mastery. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Nowhere you can go is more peaceful, more free of interruptions than your own soul." In a world where men drown in constant noise, notifications, arguments, fake validation, silence feels terrifying, because silence is truth, and truth demands you face yourself without excuses. When you're alone, you meet the unfiltered version of who you are. No titles, no roles, no masks, just you. Raw, imperfect, exposed. That's why many run from solitude. They fill it with screens, with noise, with meaningless company, because stillness makes them realize how much of their life has been lived for others. But the Stoic man doesn't run. He sits, he breathes, he listens. He learns that being alone isn't punishment, it's preparation. Because a man who can't stand to be alone with his thoughts will always depend on others to distract him from himself. Seneca wrote, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you, and sometimes the only person capable of doing that is you." So use solitude as the Stoics did, to sharpen your mind, to examine your motives, to question your desires, to clean the inner room of your soul. When you sit in silence, the first thing you'll hear is chaos. But wait. Beneath that chaos is clarity, and clarity is what separates the wise from the restless. In solitude, you learn what truly matters, and more importantly, what doesn't. You begin to see that your value doesn't depend on attention or affection, but on alignment with your own principles, your own peace. The man who fears solitude will always chase noise, but the man who embraces it becomes unshakable, because nothing external can threaten someone who has made peace within. Epictetus taught, "If you want to be invincible, then do not enter into combat where you cannot win, And in solitude, the only combat worth entering is the one within yourself, against fear, against doubt, against neediness. It's in that quiet battle that a new strength is born. Not the strength of muscle, but of mind. Not the pride of being seen, but the power of being certain. So if you find yourself alone tonight, don't rush to escape it. Sit with it. Feel the discomfort. Let it teach you. Because the man who has made friends with solitude walks into the world with a peace that no noise can steal. And when you've found that peace within yourself, you begin to see another kind of silence. The one that appears when others lie, manipulate, or twist words. And that silence becomes your greatest weapon. There's a silence that doesn't come from peace, but from power. It's the silence you hold when someone lies to your face, when they twist your words, play their games, and expect you to react. Loudly, emotionally, predictably. That's what manipulators feed on. Your reaction, your anger becomes their proof. Your explanations become their ammunition. But a Stoic man knows, the moment you defend yourself against a lie, you've already given it power. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Simple, but he also understood something deeper. You can't control what others say. You can only control whether you let their words enter your peace. When you stay silent in the face of deceit, you're not being weak, you're being wise. You're refusing to step into their arena because you know that truth needs no defense. Let them talk, let them distort, let them invent their little versions of you. You stay still because time has a way of revealing what words can't. Seneca said, "Time discovers truth. Time heals what reason cannot." And that's the essence of Stoic silence. You let truth fight for you while you remain untouchable. When people lie about you, it's often because your presence threatens their illusion. Your calmness exposes their chaos. Your truth makes their deception tremble. That's why the Stoic man never lowers himself to the noise. He knows that dignity is louder than denial. So when they whisper behind your back, when they try to pull you into a storm of confusion, stand tall, observe, but don't engage. Every manipulator wants one thing: control. And control begins with reaction. Your silence denies them both. Epictetus wrote, "If someone speaks ill of you, do not make excuses. Reply, 'He was ignorant of my other faults,' or he would not have mentioned only these." That's not arrogance. That's mastery. It's the kind of self-possession that only silence can build. Because silence is not about saying nothing. It's about saying only what matters and only when necessary. The man who argues to prove his worth is already admitting he doubts it. But the man who stays silent knows. Truth is not a debate. It's a mirror that time will eventually clean. So, when someone lies about you, don't panic, don't plead, don't perform. Stand in silence like a mountain under a storm. The thunder will pass, the rock will remain, and when it does, those who believed the lies will see what the storm could not erase. Your composure. That is the quiet victory of the Stoic man. Not the applause of others, but the certainty that no one, no word, no rumor, no manipulation, can disturb the fortress within you. Because silence isn't surrender, it's strategy. And in a world addicted to noise, the man who remains silent when falsely accused is not weak. He's untouchable. And when the lies fade, when truth returns in its quiet way, you'll find that silence has done something else. It's healed you. And that healing prepares you for the deepest kind of silence, the one that comes in pain, in loss, in moments when words simply fail. There are moments when silence isn't a choice. It's all that remains. When loss strikes, when something or someone you love slips through your fingers, no philosophy feels strong enough, no words seem right. People will tell you time heals everything, but the Stoic knows time doesn't heal, it reveals. It reveals what you truly value, what you can endure, and what kind of man you are when the world stops making sense. In pain, we often reach for noise. We talk, we post, we vent. We try to fill the emptiness with explanations, but silence is different. Silence doesn't distract you. It confronts you. It asks you to sit with the ache, to breathe with it, to feel the sharp edges of loss without trying to dull them. Seneca wrote, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." That's what silence during pain does. It gives you the space to prove yourself to yourself. When you stop trying to escape the sorrow, something strange begins to happen. You start to see meaning inside it. You realize that loss isn't just something taken from you. It's something given, a deeper understanding of impermanence, a reminder that everything borrowed from life will one day return to it. Marcus Aurelius faced this truth head on. Do not act as if you were going to live 10,000 years. Death hangs over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good. When you lose, don't rush to fill the silence. Let it shape you. Let it humble you. Let it teach you what words cannot. Grief, when met with silence, becomes sacred. It stops being chaos and starts being clarity. You stop asking, "Why me?" and start seeing, "Why not me?" Pain does not destroy the Stoic man. It refines him, because he knows that every heartbreak, every death, every goodbye is life's way of reminding him nothing truly belongs to us. Not people, not possessions, not even time. Epictetus said it best, "Never say of anything, 'I have lost it,' but 'I have returned it.'" That is the calm power of Stoic silence, to honor loss not with noise or denial, but with acceptance. When you can stand before life's most brutal moments and simply breathe, you become something stronger than comfort. You become stillness itself. In that stillness, the world softens, the storm settles, and you begin to see that silence isn't empty after all. It's full of lessons, of memories, of strength. And so, when you face pain, don't run, don't hide, don't drown it in distraction. Sit in silence. Let your tears speak where words cannot, because grief, shared in silence, isn't weakness, it's reverence. It's the highest form of courage, to look at suffering without flinching, to accept that even in loss, you remain whole. And as the silence deepens, you'll feel something subtle. The weight doesn't vanish, but you learn how to carry it with grace. That's the moment you understand what Stoicism truly means, not to escape pain, but to walk through it quietly until silence itself becomes your teacher. And in that quiet strength, you'll discover the final form of silence. Not the silence of loss, but the silence of peace. There's a kind of power the world no longer understands, the power of a man who says nothing and yet commands everything. In a world addicted to noise, your silence becomes rebellion. It's the mark of discipline, clarity, and control, because the loud seek validation, but the silent seek truth. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The nearer a man comes to a calm mind, the closer he is to strength." Silence is not escape. It's mastery. It's the art of holding your peace when others lose theirs, of speaking only when words can serve truth, and never your ego. So the next time you're tempted to react, to prove, to defend, pause. Let your stillness speak for you. The Stoic doesn't need to be heard to be understood. He becomes unshakable, not by shouting over chaos, but by standing silent within it. If this message spoke to you, share it with someone who needs calm in a noisy world. Subscribe, and together, let's build a generation of men who lead not with noise, but with quiet power.